In this video, I'm going to go over how to do a wipe transition using After Effects. And so here I have three separate layers. One is this image of a collage. The other is an image of a collage. And then the other is an Illustrator file that has a transparent background that just has one object in the center. And that's what I'm using as my wipe transition. And I'm just going to demo it and then we'll recreate it from scratch. So what's happening here is I have my one layer underneath this, just a solid image. And then I have the image on top, and you'll see that it's slowly being revealed. And that's because there's a mask that's directly on top of it that is aligned with the plant above. And so these two things are looking like they're connected. So as I play this forward, we'll see that it looks like the thing moving across is wiping it. So to do this from scratch, let's delete out everything that's here. I'm just going to save a new version. And I'm going to bring in all three of my layers. And let's space them out correctly. So I just want it to be 3 seconds in length. This one is going to be here. I'm just going to stretch this out, holding from the side, then holding down Shift. Put this guy in the center, this one above, stretch it out, hold down Shift, and that's fine. Doesn't really matter what size they are like this. And then I have my plant directly on top. And since I want this to make it feel like it's gonna take over the whole thing, I need to get it to be the correct size. So I need it to actually overlap on both sides of my screen. You know, it's up to you how you'd want to transition, but this is my general sort of placement. And then I'm going to move it off to the side so it starts off to the edge. I'm going to go to where I want that transition to happen. And I can move this to start here so it's not taking up any extra space. Press P for the position, jump forward to where I want it to end. So I only want this transition to take place over 1 second. And then move this to the other side of the screen. So all we have is this moving right now. Now what I want to do is reveal this second layer. So I'm going to have this start here. So it's going to only start to reveal that second layer once this is right here at this edge. And I'm doing it a little bit backwards from my previous example. So what I need to do first is I'm going to go to about the middle. And on my rocks and flowers layer, go to my pen tool. And since I have my rocks and layer selected, it'll create a mask. And what I want to do is be able to reveal what happens on this side as this passes across the screen. So I'm going to start in the very middle, and I'm just going to do a general sort of flow going across it like this. And you'll notice that it is now matching on this point, but it's not animated yet. The mask is not animated. So I have to do a couple more things. I'm going to press M to twirl down to the mask. And I need to turn on the animation for the mask path. And what's nice is I can sort of algorithmically do this, or I can let After Effects do some of the work for me. So I'm going to move forward 5 steps by holding down Shift and Page down, and that's going to jump forward in time, or I could just move the blue playhead. I'm going to go to my arrow tool, select these keyframes, and then I can just use the arrows to align them. So now it's going to match on the inside of that point. And what's nice is if it's moving correctly, if there aren't too many adjustments, if you have it like wave up and down, you're going to have to do a lot more. But here, since it's pretty static, it interpolated between those 2 points. So now I'm going to come back to the beginning here and move this forward. And I'll have to use just the arrow tools to nudge it. And then I'm going to do page up to go back a couple more steps. And since we're not going to see it on the screen before here, I can just start my layer at that point. So now we have this fully revealing across, except at that last little point. So let's come to here, holding down Shift to snap, jump forward 1 step, and then reselect my mask path on the edge over here and just have it come all the way off. And that's it. Now I've got this revealing it via the mask on top. Now, a couple things. If I want to stretch these two things out, if I want to slow this down, there's a couple more steps. The first is I'm going to come to the beginning here and let's create a mask path. And I'm actually going to start with this off. So let's actually go forward and we'll start with this whole thing off. So we should see this. Oop. I'll come back to the beginning over here, jump forward in time, and let's make sure I have my mask selected. And let's just move these off the screen. All right, so I want to match up where that top movement is. So I have one keyframe on the bottom, one on the top, and then I scroll out, do the same thing on this side, and just make a keyframe. The reason I'm going to do that is if I want to speed it up or slow it down, I'm going to have beginning and ending points. So I selected all of them by doing a marquee around all of them. Holding down Alt or Option, I can stretch out all of the keyframes. And because it's proportional, it has those two ending ones and the beginning ones, they're going to remain proportional with each other. So now we'll get a much slower reveal moving across. Or if I want to tighten it up, make sure their keyframes are all selected, hold down Alt or Option, and then I can put them all together. And this will just go super fast. This is too fast. Command Z, Control Z. Let's just get it to like that. And if you want just a little bit of motion in this or motion blur, what you can do is you can toggle switches of modes, turn on the motion blur for this layer. But in order to activate it, you need to make sure that this enable motion blur is active. And you'll see that it creates just a little bit of blur to recreate that idea of movement. And you'll see that difference there. If I turn this off, we'll see that it's a lot sharper. And if I turn this on, it'll create a little bit more of a blur as if it's actually moving. So that's how you can create a wipe in After Effects on top of images.